Hi guys, welcome back to another video in this channel. Today we're gonna continue with the design process of the weapon that I was sketching a couple of weeks ago. I think it was last week. I hate that my camera does this. I've been trying to change the autofocus, but then it's just like, I don't know what it is. I think it's trying to focus like my photo back there, but it's so annoying. Anyway, so let's go into our stream right here. And the last time we were like designing and talking about the weapon, this is the sort of like design that I thought was the one that looked best. And we're going to be working on this one to create something interesting. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, though, I think it was like 2 days ago, they just released the newest like Wakanda Forever trailer for the new Black Panther movie, and they definitely like went full Mexican culture with the mythology of it. There's a lot of like patterns and colors and everything, which is really cool. So we're gonna kind of like follow with it. I was not expecting them to go like full on design like that, but yeah, that's it. Let's go. So I'm actually gonna try and play around with the design here inside of ZBrush directly. And today we're gonna be focusing, of course, on the blocking. I know the blocking is not usually the most exciting part of the process because there's not a lot of details and things don't look as nice as when you're finished. But as I've mentioned so many times before, the blocking stage is probably one of the better, or like the most important parts of the whole process. I'm gonna start with a cube because I'm gonna be using the knife brushes to do a little bit of sketching right here. So I'm gonna go to the front here. I'm gonna make this thing thinner so that we match roughly the kind of like size that I want for the sword. I'm gonna get rid of dynamic perspective. I don't usually like working with perspective. It's a little bit annoying, kind of gets on the way. And we're gonna go here to the see-through options so that we can work on the blade right here. So for the blade, I'm gonna be, look, let's turn down the mesh here so we don't want to freeze. There we go. I'm gonna go to my knife brushes. So the knife curve is the one that we're gonna be using to like carve in the sections right here. So we're gonna do that right there. The blade should be right around there, I would say. And then I'm gonna start like drawing my curve down here. I'm gonna press Alt once and then twice, and it's gonna give me a really nice clean curve here. Probably gonna do a couple more. So it's like 1, 2. I really want to have like that sort of like sharp effect right there. Let's try that again. So we go really sharp here. There we go. That's a little bit better. We can play around with the curve a little bit, and that's it. And then for this one right here, same deal. So I'm gonna go here. It's gonna be kind of like curved, and there we go. And then this inner angles right here are gonna be a little bit tricky as well. So Alt, and then here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double tap Alt, so we get a hard edge. And then I think we had another hard edge right there. And this thing goes down like this. I'm not super like excited about that cut. It makes it unique, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know. I think it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the scimitar. Let's keep it, and then if we don't like it later, we'll fix it. I'm gonna create a little bit of an angle right here because of that thing. And then for that particular element right there, it will be better to use the knife circle. So I can just use this knife circle right here. And there we go. So that we can cut the thing right there from the mouth. We can make it a little bit of an oval shape. That's fine. There we go. So as you can see, we've successfully created the basic shape of our sword. And it looks quite nice. I think this is not bad. I'm gonna make it a little bit thinner though. And if you remember the weapons that we were using as reference, or as what's the word, as inspiration, it's this sort of like, don't even know the name. I should know the name. Like Mayan obsidian weapon. So this thing, Macuhuatl, something like that. So it's a really like big like wooden board, and then the obsidian pieces are encrusted into it, right? So I do want to have the same sort of effect, and therefore we definitely need to bevel this thing a little bit. Now, if you take a look at this, every single time we did a cut, we created a really interesting poly group. And this is great because we now can use one of, I would say, newest features. It was released last year at about this time, which is the Bevel Pro. By the way, the ZBrush Summit is going to be really, really soon, and they're hopefully going to be announcing a new things for the software. And if you want to get prepared and learn a little bit about ZBrush before the ZBrush Summit so you can make use of all of that stuff, remember that we have the Skillshare promo. Hey guys, Abraham here. I just wanted to remind you guys that we upload all of our courses to Skillshare. Skillshare is this amazing site where you can access a ton of different content to learn, improve, and grow as an artist. We have all of our courses available to watch and learn from right now in Skillshare. You can check the description down here, and Skillshare is offering 1 free month trial to their premium membership. With this membership, you're going to be able to access all of our courses and watch and learn all of the amazing things that we cover with all of the softwares. So, what are you waiting for? Check Skillshare down here below. There we go. So if you go to the geometry tab over here, you're gonna find, or actually in the subtool tab, you're gonna find the Bevel Pro option. Bevel Pro uses a different little software, like a little plugin. As you can see, it opens right here. And this will allow us, as you're about to see, to bevel all of the edges where poly groups meet. So it's a really, really, really powerful tool. You can change the bevel amount, depending on how much bevel we want. I don't think I want that much bevel. We can change the bevel output, and in this case I can just select auto apply, and as you can see it's gonna apply the bevel right there. I think the bevel was not as good, so let's not auto apply just yet. I'm gonna increase the bevel amount a little bit more. You can see there the preview. There we go. Probably a little bit more. Yeah, something like that I think works really, really nice. I'm gonna hit auto apply. You can see there's a little bit of an error right there, like that thing right there. I think we can fix this once we get into ZBrush. Just like analyzing everything else. Yeah, so a couple of corners are having a little bit of an issue, but everything else seems to be working fine. Like one side of it seems to be working fine. Let's take a look here. Yeah. So as you can see, the right side is perfectly fine, and then the left side had a little bit of an issue, but that's not a problem because thankfully we do have symmetry. So one thing we can do is we can mirror the object and then mirror and weld, and that's gonna duplicate, or in this case, just mirror and weld, and that's gonna duplicate whatever we had on one side to the other side. And as you can see, this looks like perfectly fine. So we've now successfully created this very nice bevel looking piece, which is where we're gonna be able to create all of the different patterns. So we're gonna add the obsidian pieces around this. Now, if we take a look at this, pretty much all of the cultures out there, well, not all of them, but a lot of cultures were prone to decorating their weapons, right? Like the decoration and the preparation of their weapons was really important in a ceremonial fashion and stuff like that. As humanity evolved, I think people were like going more for utility rather than decoration or artistry. But we can definitely go into the art route. So I really like this sort of like weird, intense patterns. I think something like that would be very, very interesting. But as you can see, there's like a border. I can appreciate a little bit of a border here. And again, we do have our polygroups. So technically, we should be able to create something here. Now, there's a couple of ways in which we can do this. I'm going to try using... What would be a nice idea here? Because what I want is I want to grab this shape right here and pretty much just like create a hole that follows very closely to the element. We can mask it out. Let's try the following. I'm gonna duplicate this thing right here, and then I'm gonna turn on live boolean. I'm gonna use a division to remove a piece. So this piece, as you can see right here, will remove from this other piece. There you go. So if we change the scale a little bit, we should be able to create something interesting like this. There we go. I kind of want to create like a border. Something like this. I like this. So see that very nice border we're creating everywhere? I think that's pretty cool. We can kind of line it up with the fang there at the top. So we'll keep the fang, but we'll kind of like blend into it, as you can see right there. we're gonna fix that. We're gonna bevel and do a couple of like elements right there. But you can see that like I like this cavity that we're getting. It's just that I would like it to be a little bit cleaner on this area right here. So I'm gonna append another cube. We're gonna make this really, really thin like this. We're also gonna make this a negative cube. So when we bring it closer to the thing, we're gonna use this to cut as well. Like that. So now what we can do is we can just like make the cube a little bit bigger, move it to the side, so it helps us remove some of the elements right there. Now the cube can also be moved. So for instance, I can just like increase this like there. And then if we go into move mode just for a second, or we can just like cut a piece out of this cube, like this piece right here. There we go. So when we subtract, it's only going to subtract on the areas that I want. I know that we're missing the other side. Don't worry, we'll fix that one. But I like that shape right there. So we need to go here to Boolean, and we're going to say make Boolean mesh. Now we're going to have this mesh right here, which we need to mirror to get the same effect on the other side, right? So I'm going to mirror and weld again. But in this case, I'm going to mirror first and then mirror and weld, because it takes positive and brings it to the negative. Or actually, it takes negative and brings it to the positive. So we need to do that. And as you can see, we get this. Not freaking bad, right? Not freaking bad for a wooden shape. Now, there's, of course, things that we need to fix, but we're going to be using Dynamesh for that later on. Again, I just want to focus on the blocking right now, because that's one of the important parts of the whole thing. So the obsidian bits, right? If we take a look at the concept, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm gonna go with 12, and I'm gonna do 12 because the Mayan calendar has, I believe, 12 months, 18 months. There you go. So let's go 18. I thought it had 12 months. So it's Pop, Uo, Sip, Sot, Sek, Suk, Shankin, Mol, Chance, Shaks, Jax, Sak, Se, Mak, Kankin, Mawan, Pax, Kayaf, and Kumku. Those will be like the 18 months of the calendar. So let's do 18 pieces then. The way we're gonna do this is I'm just gonna do a one piece. I'm gonna show you how to. We've sculpted stones recently, so we're gonna sculpt one like obsidian bit, and then we're just gonna duplicate it, and of course we'll modify and change them around. So I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna start now with a cube. So I'm gonna select like a cube. There we go. Let's make this a polymesh 3D. Let's make it really thin as well, because it's gonna be like the stone. And I'm gonna go again with my knife curve. Let's do Dynamesh. And we're just gonna start like cutting bits and pieces out of it. Like this. Give it this sort of like random looking shape. Like a stone. There we go. Now, I do want to like give it a little bit of more volume. Obsidian, when obsidian is cut, you sometimes get like different effects. Like I've seen this, like knives, right? They're a little bit like, or this axe, they're crazy. I kind of want to go for this sort of like axe effect. So I'm gonna say append. I'm gonna append a sphere, and then this sphere I'm gonna like smooth it or squish it so that we get this sort of like round shape. Make it smaller, of course. And now we have this. So we grab the top one and we can say merge down, okay? And when we Dynamesh, now I'm gonna be able to go with my trim dynamic and start adding things. I definitely don't want to have symmetry turned on, so I want to do this separate element. And feel free to, in this case, like add more volume, remove stuff. Like it's all about making this thing look as organic and as carved as possible. And if we want to save a little bit of time for production, and if this was for a game, I would definitely do this because we also want to keep poly count low. I would do just one of these stones, UV it, texture it, and everything, and then just duplicate it at the very end on top of the weapon. There we go. Let's go on this other side. Same deal. Let's add the volume so that when we see it from the front, it's not like a perfectly flat thing. We actually have a little bit of volume. I've talked about this before. When your brush is very big, you might like drag things from the other side. You can change this here on brush, and then auto masking and a back face mask. We can go here, here. Carpet out a little bit more. And again, trim dynamic, just like start creating different patterns. We can also go to the trick that I show you on the sculpting a rock technique, where we use the clay, or sorry, the mallet fast. That one's really good for stone elements as well. There we go. I really want to make this thing look quite intense. Now remember the alphas. I'm gonna go lightbox, and to our brushes. If you haven't checked those, again, check the stone one. It's really cool. And we have a very cool one that I think is gonna work. There's a rock damage. I can do this in burst, so we get this sort of like faceted look. Or from this guy, the orb details. There we go. I'm also gonna increase the intensity a little bit. And as you can see, that's really gonna give us a really interesting, like stone looking effect. Use the move brush to make this thing look closer like that. And here's where I would definitely, again, work. I'm gonna turn on polish on my Dynamesh, and I'm gonna increase the resolution quite a bit, so we get sharper edges. And this is where you can definitely go in here and start creating that sort of like a very nice, sharp and defined edge. You can change the material, by the way. You can use like this, like the matte cap gorilla, to give it get an idea of how this thing is gonna look once it's like textured and shaded. I think I am gonna go for the mallet fast. So again, brush, and then there's the mallet, and there's this one called mallet fast. Double click. There we go. Because it's a little bit more aggressive, and we can also like add and create like this layering effect. So it's gonna give us a rather unique look, I think. And when we Dynamesh, you can see like the chipped away like layers that we get, which make these things look quite nice, I would say, especially here on the edge. I think those damages right there are gonna be quite helpful. So I would probably do, again, like a couple, like 2 or 3 of these guys right here to have enough variation. But now I'm just gonna do one to show you. We're gonna make this an insert multi-mesh brush. It's gonna be a really heavy one because, as you can see, it's 221,000 polygons. So every time we add one of these guys, we're gonna have 221,000 polygons more, right? So I'm gonna go to the front here. I'm gonna press B, and I'm gonna say create insert mesh. And I'm gonna say a new insert mesh, and there we go. We now have this new insert mesh that we can go back to our weapon right here. Let's go back to our like normal material, and I'm gonna say append. I'm gonna append a sphere. This sphere is gonna be just a placeholder, or we're gonna remove it later. Oh. So maybe we can even like move it to the side. We really don't need it. It's just so that we have a geometry to kind of like attach to. And now if we go here, we can use our insert mesh to insert one of these guys right here. Now that I have one, let's bring it into position. And let's change the size. Now, I'm gonna show you a new tool. It's very cool. But to do this, I think we need to delete the sphere. So very easy way to delete the sphere. Just select this guy right here. Or actually, I'm gonna go polygroups. And then I'm gonna say auto groups. Grab this guy and say delete hidden. There we go. So if you go to the front view right here, and you go subtool, there's a relatively new tool called the poster. It's called the poster. It's right here, stager. It's called the stager. So I'm gonna select this guy right here, and I'm gonna reset the gizmo, and I'm gonna say home stage. And then if I move this up and place it where it's gonna end, which would be like this place right here, and I rotate it, you can maybe even scale it a little bit like this, and we say target stage, we can switch between the home stage and the target stage right there. And we can also interpolate. So if we interpolate, as you're gonna see right there, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to see because it's not really doing the interpolation that we want, but it's creating this interpolation where it adds 8 options from point A to point B, and it like rotates them in the way we want. Unfortunately, it does like a linear interpolation. It doesn't do like a curved interpolation. But what I can do here is I can say 18, or yeah, 18, and say interpolate. That should give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, there we go. So we get the 18 stones that we want. And since they're a relatively simple mesh, we can either use the move brush or just like a deform tool or something to get them into position. Like this. That's also going to kind of like deform them a little bit to make them a little bit different, which is fine for me. And then we can use something like BMT, which is the move topological, which will only move the pieces that are on its own like island of meshes. And we can start like playing around with some of them again, just modifying. I do want to leave a little bit of a distance between each of them, so if we need to make them a little bit smaller, especially this one's right here, we should definitely do that. I do want to have a little bit of space between, again, the stones, kind of like in the reference. But I do want to have 18 just to again represent and what's the word? Pay homage to the culture, right? So let's push this guys up. I like the fact that they created like this sort of like saw or serrated effect that gives a little bit more functionality to the sword, because when you hit it with this, they're gonna like actually cut through the skin. Just keep in mind, as I mentioned, we don't really want to dynamesh these guys because they're quite heavy now. Each one of these like little stones that we added is almost 200,000 polygons. So you can see that just on this tool we have almost 4 million points. But that's it. Doesn't look half bad. I do think they're a little bit thin, so I'm gonna go to a scale, just like scale them a little bit more. They definitely look smaller than what we had on the original concept, but I do think this is a good what's the word? A good compromise for the thing, because we have the 18 teeth that make it look like it's again related to the calendar from the Mayan culture. So yes, we have smaller. It's not going to look as stylized. I know this one was looking a little bit stylized, but we can still play around with things like the pommel and stuff. So let's just finish the blocking real quick with the pommel. And if we go right here, like we know that on traditional swords, the pommel is a continuation of this thing. In this case, it's wooden. It should be like wooden thing. So I'm going to just add very basic shapes. I'm going to say subtool, a penth, a cube. This cube is gonna be like the basic pommel. I do like this sort of like curved thing that we thought about on the design process. So something like this. It's definitely gonna be carved. It's definitely gonna be a carved pommel, like everything, like all of this pieces going down there. Let's dynamesh real quick. I'm gonna use my move brush to just give it a little bit more, you know, life to it. I know it's looking weird right now. So definitely need to go back there and turn on symmetry. There we go. So let's turn dynamesh and symmetry. There we go. So all of this will be like a piece of wood, and then we're gonna penth a cylinder. And even though everything could be like potentially made out of a single piece, we can sculpt it as separate pieces and then combine them. Dynamesh as well. X to make sure symmetry is turned on. Let's create like this sort of like curved handle. Go, and then we're gonna penth a sphere, which is gonna be the little like serpent head that we're gonna have on the other side as well. Let's dynamesh that one as well. Just play around with the general shape, and there we go. that's pretty much it for the blocking. We have a really clean blocking on the blade. Let's just do a little bit of tweaking over here. So this one, for instance, definitely want to have some bevels. I'm not gonna do bevel pro in this case. I'm gonna keep, since it's gonna be carved and it's gonna have a couple of like different effects. I think it might be a good idea to again kind of like play around with the shapes on this one a little bit. Something like that. Handle looks fine, and this one, again, I'm thinking it's gonna be like a Mayan serpent head. There's a couple of them in Chichen Itza. It's a very one of the most famous places for Mayan culture. If you ever come to Mexico and you go to Cancun, make sure to book your trip to Chichen Itza. It's quite the experience. It's this like super huge pyramid. It's very cool. So this head right here, it's on the steps. Like it's a very common like motif from Mayan culture. So I think we're gonna go for that right here. So we're gonna definitely need to increase the resolution here. And again, it's just a blocking, so we have like the mouth there, the opening. Then we need to add some volume here for the chin. Then the eyes are kind of like popping out as well. It's probably going to be part of the pommel, so it might not be a bad idea to combine it with the rest of the element. And then this thing's right here. I think I'm gonna go for this sort of like leaf motif that the serpent has. The legend says that it's a winged flying serpent. So yeah, this could potentially be like wings. I think we can just again our move brush, and we can create like a sort of like a wing pattern motif. I think. Oh, maybe not that exaggerated. Something like that might work, I guess. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. Of course, this weapon's not going to be participating on the contest, but yours will. So make sure to stay tuned. We're going to be sharing more news about the submission very, very soon. Right now, it's October 5th. We still have plenty of time. You have like 25 days. If you haven't started and you do 1 hour a day, I'm sure you're going to get a perfect or very, very good result. So make sure to that. Someone asked in the comments in the last couple of days whether we were gonna do or whether you need to submit like the design, and yes, the design is gonna be important. So either a sketch or a basic blocking, like things like that. If you were using that or following some sort of like design process, make sure to share that. It's probably gonna be like a work in progress thing, and then the final result. I think this one's a little bit too thick. I'm gonna make it thinner, and maybe play around with the size of this one right here. A great way to like visualize whether or not this is like going in a good direction is to bring in one of the characters that we have here in ZBrush. So there's like Nick, for instance, and if you grab Nick's body and you go to your sword or to your weapon and you say append, and you append a Nick, he's gonna be huge. That's fine. Like we can change the scales later on. Well, it's not that he's huge. He's actually like in real world scale. It's just ZBrush tends to. So we can bring Nick here to the side and just like scale him so that the sword fits his hand, and this will give us an idea of whether or not we're in a good position. For instance, this immediately tells me that the pommel is really big. So that means that this will be more like a dagger. If I want this to be like a sword, which is something like this, right, in regards to size, or maybe even like this, then if he was gonna hold this, the pommel would need to be like way smaller. So I'm gonna go to this guy, mask it out, go to this guy, mask it out, go to this guy, mask it out as well, and then when we jump to the pommel, I can press W and click this option right here, which is gonna modify all of the subtools, and it's only gonna modify the what's the word, the effect right there. Now this is a little bit better, I think, in size, but now the pommel looks a little bit too short. So I'm gonna like increase the length of the pommel a little bit more, and then this guy, let's click this guy off, and there we go. And this is of course part of the process that you're gonna have to do on your own weapon. There might be things that don't work exactly as you intended, so feel free to change things around, modify the design a little bit, and keep on working. I really like where this element is going right now, so I'm gonna keep it I'm gonna stop the video right now, guys, for now, and we'll probably continue with this one next week. I'm gonna try to do once, like at least one video a week of the process to inspire you guys. But again, I'm not gonna be participating, of course, so just use this as an inspiration, motivate yourself, be a little bit disciplined, and create amazing things. Feel free to leave a comment, share, like, subscribe. You guys know that all of those things help us. And that's it. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.